churches in Costa Mesa. Is that Costa Mesa, is it? In Costa Mesa, and say, okay, now all you people, you've got it all wrong, listen to me. And they would be involved in their Christmas ceremonies or whatever it is they do, their Easter festivities and things like that. Or even going down to the Maranatha Church in Costa Mesa. And I come in there as an outsider from up further north or east or some other place and saying, listen to me, what kind of reception would I get? They would just chuck me right out. They would just chuck me right out. They're not going to listen to me. That's not always the case with indigenous religious movements. They're not going to listen to some newcomer with new ideas that they think they know better than that person. Paul has the same trouble when he goes to Asia Minor and goes into the synagogues. Now, in the history of Christianity, the Jews are portrayed very negatively because they don't treat Paul well in these synagogues. If I did what Paul was doing in churches, they would chuck me out so fast, they'd beat me up, they'd do everything to me. I mean, he's denying the whole Old Testament. He's denying all of Mosaic law. He's denying all the things these people hold precious. And you think he can walk into the synagogues and get a friendly reaction when he's contradicting everything that they have in their prayer books and so on, and that they're going through their weekly routine concerning, yet they're portrayed as horrible, as stiff-necked and mean-spirited, and he's portrayed as shaking the dust off his feet and moving on to the next synagogue. And that's considered good, that he moves on, because the writers are on his side and are pro-Pauline. You always have to look at the orientation of the people writing this material. Now, I don't say he's good and they're bad or vice versa, but I certainly can understand the other side, and that how they would act towards a person like that. So the picture of the Jews that has come down through history and this presentation written by people like that is negative. Negative, and that leads to anti-Semitic feelings, ultimately blaming this, that, or the other thing on them, and finally Holocausts. So to my mind, the literature actually incites hatred, violence, and other things against them for what is actually a totally normal behavior pattern, how they would behave to anyone contradicting their most precious doctrines. And someone would treat me the same if I went into their holy areas. And suppose I went to Mecca and said, okay, now I know the Old Testament as well as you guys know it. I'm going to teach my version of the Old Testament. I think my version is smarter than yours, even though you've had it for 2,000 years. Mine's smarter than yours, and I'm going to tell you what really happened. How long do you think I would survive in Mecca?
Not even 1 minute.
Not even a minute. No, not even a minute. No, exactly. You got it right. You see, so, I mean, it depends on who you have. That's perfect you said that, because that's true. Not even a minute. Maybe 5 seconds. People don't look at it like that. They don't see the circumstances of the situation. So it's easy to, I hate to use the word blacken. That's not fair to use black as an adjective for negative. People use it, but it's wrong. But that's used that way, make them look bad, okay? People make them look bad in the way they present them, but they don't look at it from their point of view at all. In other words, you should never take the point of view of anyone's enemies as an accurate description of what that person is. In my last class today, that some of you were in, we were talking about the way the Hindus were looked upon by the Muslim conquerors. And they felt that they could just go in and just destroy Hindu temples and eradicate the local religious beliefs, because they thought they were all perfect and good, and these other people were idolaters and therefore a priori bad. But if you go to southern India and see these lovely Hindu temples and shrines, they're so full of life and color and non-violence and friendliness that you wonder why anyone would want to destroy any of them and eradicate them and so on and so forth. So, you know, the picture always depends on who is writing the picture. And if I can teach you anything, I hope that you will remember that. Let's go back to these rabbis. So there are rabbis. They do come from a tribe there. Other texts consider, if you look at the Muslim texts, consider them from a priestly tribe. And these rabbis, actually, the reason the story is so interesting, it's from Ibn Hisham, you see, there's a footnote at the bottom. Ibn Hisham is a biographer of the Prophet. So it's from the biographies of the Prophet that were compiled within a century of his death. So these are very old stories. The rabbis, what do the rabbis do in the story? They predict the coming of the Prophet to Asad Kamil, and they also tell Asad Kamil that Mecca is a sacred place. And I think they may even say here that it was founded by our father Abraham. I'm not sure if that's in this story or not. But in any case, maybe we should read this so we're familiar with what they say. Now, while the Tubal was carrying on war against them, there came to him 2 Jewish rabbis of the Banu Qurayza, to the bottom of 21. That's the name of the tribe, one of the 3 Jewish tribes that ultimately Muhammad expelled from Medina. Banu means sons of. So they come from the Banu Qurayza. They're in Medina long before any of the other later southern tribes coming up from the breaking of the dike. They probably introduced date palm plantationing there, which was the means of sustenance of that area. And men deep in knowledge, and when they heard that he wished to destroy the city and the people, they warn him and advise him, "Oh, king, don't do that. You know, look, if you accept anything between you and the city for what happened, and you go to the lengths you propose, bad things will happen to you." How come? He said, "Because this is the place of refuge